Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. So today we are discussing a 2012 limited edition of 15,007 pieces. Yes, 15,007 pieces. Hold your fire though. Remember, just about every standard Seamaster Diver 300 meter and Moonwatch is an unlimited edition. We love those, right? So let's judge this watch on its merits as a cool James Bond themed edition that just happens to have a comical edition number. This is, of course, the Seamaster Aqua Terra Skyfall, so it features a monogram of James Bond's fictional family crest on the dial, as well as a second hand to match, but it's built on the chassis of a standard 2012 41.5mm steel Seamaster Aqua Terra. So that's the diameter. In terms of thickness, 13.8mm, lug-to-lug, 48.5. If we add the solid protruding end link to the bracelet, then it is 50.5mm across the wrist with a 20mm spacing in between the lugs. We're going to throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and it wears nicely. It's definitely a full-sized watch, but I'm wearing it just fine. I think you could wear this watch on a wrist down to 15 centimeters circumference. So 16's wearing it pretty well. I think 15 would work just fine. It's neither thick nor thin, but the cupped case back sort of settles into the skin, and then you've got a domed bezel. So I think this could fit just fine underneath a shirt cuff. Taking a look at the bracelet, we have a partially conforming end link that helps to close the gap to the case. It doesn't completely trace the arc of the lyre style lugs, but it does close the gap and prevents any daylight between case and bracelet. There's a small amount of taper down from the end towards the clasp. You can see many individual removable links, including an intermediate size link on each side for fine-tuning the fit. So given that many removable links plus the two intermediates, you're going to find a good fit. And taking a look at this bracelet, you can see it's got fairly large gaps between the links, which means it'll really vent the wrist well on a hot day, as well as avoid pinching skin or pulling hair. Outer faces are polished, center links are polished, shoulders are satinated. We have a clasp that is a twin trigger release, so you have to press both of these for it to pop open, and you can see right here, internally we have spring-loaded ceramic pin snaps, so over time, this tolerance will always remain snappy because the steel cannot wear down the ceramics. That's the idea there. It is a sequential close with one side closing before the other, and then externally it's the Omega logo that closes second. The twin trigger release means you must press both triggers for this to open up. It cannot pop open inadvertently. Rolling around to the case, we know it well. The pre-2017 Aqua Terra design featured a crown with a little bit more shoulder around the crown's end. You can see media blast and polish. The case band is satinated. The lugs and the mid-case bevel are all polished, and you can see what is meant by lyre-style lugs. There's this outward bevel that's polished and this inward one that's satinated. We've got a bezel with a little vertical lip and then a primarily conical profile, giving way to a lightly cambered sapphire over a dial that is fully luminescent. We're going to do a lume shot now so you can see. All three hands are loomed, including that fictional Bond family crest on the seconds hand, which actually makes it a more legible seconds hand. Taking a look at the dial now, all of the indices are applique, and as you can see, they're high grade with a combination of satin and facets that are polished, so they contrast nicely. It's an easy watch to read. You can see we've got a vintage-inspired broad arrow minute hand, and then we've got that reflective James Bond monogram, and I have to emphasize that it's not that overt. When you look at this watch in public, I'm holding it at an angle so you can see the dial to advantage, but on the wrist like this, like that, you're not really going to see. In fact, unless the light catches it, you can't tell that it's distinct in any way. You see the blue color and you see the yellow accents, but the branding isn't so strident that if you didn't want it, you'd have to worry about it. Taking a look, what's also interesting here is that the 15,000 Gauss signature is now 15,007. Now, of course, people talk about 15,000 Gauss. What they're really talking about is the name of that Aqua Terra from 2013 that was a special edition, the first Omega to be officially certified as resistant to 15,000 Gauss, but it was over 15,000 Gauss. 1.5 Tesla is a minimum, not a maximum, for magnetic flux density resistance on these. So you could see it is greater, even than 15,007 Gauss with little James Bond pistol grip logo. It is a master coaxial chronometer, so highly anti-magnetic. That's not the same thing as METAS, but this is a COSC chronometer that has those highly anti-magnetic features. A couple of different setting modes, of course. This is the twin barrel 8500 generation. Because it's got a unique rotor, it's called the 8507. Get it? So we've got this one mode where I can move the hour hand independently, and it can jump the date forward or backwards, depending on which direction I'm traveling across the international date line. This is great for travelers as you index 1 hour at a time. Note that it doesn't stop the watch. It doesn't displace the minute hand. It doesn't stop the seconds. That happens when you pull the crown out all the way. Now we activate hacking seconds. Also important, this is a screw-down crown, and though this is not a dive-style Seamaster, at 150 meters water-resistant, it is quite resilient in that regard. Of course, the movie Skyfall, delving deeper into Bond's personal background than we've typically seen in 007 movies, and Skyfall is the name of the family home. So you will notice that if you watch the movie, that is the derivation of this name. You can see that this watch is, of course, anti-magnetic to over 15,000 Gauss, and that it is a vast edition number of 15,007 pieces, but they are individually numbered. Now, the movement is mechanically identical to an 8500, with the exception that it has this unique rifle and bullet motif that you'll see in the opening sequence of every James Bond film, and they've gotten more elaborate over the years. So you can see James Bond's name on the percussion end of a bullet casing, and then the rifling of the barrel after that. Underneath, it's a standard 8500, so bidirectional automatic winding, twin barrels, 60-hour power reserve, 25,200 vibrations per hour, the better to accommodate the coaxial and the silicon hairspring. The escapement, the balance staff, the hairspring, all highly anti-magnetic, and the coaxial escapement, this is the tri-level version of it, a very robust version of the coaxial that finally realizes its original potential for improved power reserve, reduced maintenance requirements, and improved chronometry. Of course, the coax originally developed by George Daniels in 1974 and sold to Omega to be industrialized starting in the 1999 model year. Of course, Daniels and his protege Roger W. Smith continued to use the coax in their own watches. And I would say that even though this is now a highly mass-produced movement, it's probably the most exotic escapement you can get, along with Grand Seiko's Double Impulse for under $50,000. So that's pretty cool. And its primary advantage is that it has tangential friction rather than the sliding friction of a Swiss lever, and tangential is less, reducing the need for, again, maintenance and lubrication, which is helpful to a watch owner. The two barrels help to keep the torque plateau nice and flat so it doesn't gallop when fully wound or really start losing a lot of time after 24, 36, or 48 hours. So there is lots to love here. And if you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.